So the corruption case against former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede and 21 others will return to court in March next year. They appeared before the Durban High Court again today. They pleaded not guilty to all charges, which include fraud, racketeering and money laundering. The charges, of course, relate to the awarding of the Durban Solid Waste tender worth over 300 million rand, which occurred during the tenure of Zandile Gumede when she was mayor of eThekwini. Well, today, though, the state withdrew 153 counts. Senior reporter Siphamandla Goge covering the story and joining us now from Durban. So, Sipha, bearing in mind that Zandile Gumede was arrested in May 2019, the state has had a long time to build their case, to check every single count, to make sure that they've got a solid case. Talk to me then about why, during pre-trial, they withdraw 153 counts. Is this a worrying sign?
The state is trying to downplay withdrawing those 153 counts. They are saying, well, it will not affect the nature and the merits of the case in this matter. The judge even asked the state prosecutor to say, if you are withdrawing these counts, then that will affect the total number of counts that remain in this matter. Very strange then the prosecutor saying, well, of course, it will not affect the number of counts that are there. But if you look at it in terms of mathematics, initially there were 2,973 counts. You are withdrawing 153 or so. Surely that will have an impact in terms of the number of counts that are there. But anyway, it doesn't take away the fact that you still have a substantial number of counts that are there. These counts, of course, are linked to racketeering, money laundering, fraud and corruption. Those are the charges, the main charges, and then there are counts and alternative counts. The judge did ask the prosecutor in that regard to say, okay, you say you are withdrawing these counts. What then happens in terms of the total number of counts that is there? The state is saying, listen, this is immaterial in a way. It will not affect the trial that much and the number of counts that will remain. So today was mainly about the continuation of the reading of the indictment by the state prosecutor. Initially, she was asked by the judge yesterday to summarize the indictment, which is about 400 pages, to say, please read the preamble. All the accused persons have consulted with their legal teams and they understand what is happening, but the prosecutor was adamant that she would like to read the indictment paragraph by paragraph. Of course, that was going to take almost a whole week because the matter was set down from Monday, which was yesterday, all the way till Friday. But today, after withdrawing those counts, and then the state was of the view that this matter could be speeded up, and then they had to move with speed, and the judge, of course, had to adjourn the matter to the 6th of March next year. That is not surprising that the matter was postponed. In any case, there was an agreement previous time the matter was in court that when they come for pre-trial this week, it will be about pre-trial logistics. The accused persons were going to plead. They have pleaded not guilty, all of them, in all the charges and the counts that have been mentioned, and the matter was set to be postponed to next year. Possible dates that were looked at next year was between March and April, but today we had confirmation that the matter has been adjourned to the 6th of March. That's when the trial will start. The judge was very adamant that come the 6th of March 2023, she doesn't want to hear excuses either from the state or the defense team saying they are not ready to commence with this trial, which has been dragging on for more than 4 years now. Let's take a listen to the state prosecutor withdrawing some of those counts.
My lady, with regards to these counts, 2432 to 2791, the state withdraws the following counts: 2432 to 2585. That is a total of 153 counts.
So that's from 2432 to 2585.
Correct. And we will now proceed with, that leaves us with count number 2586.
Okay, so just give me a moment.
Got these.
start with 2, 4.
Now we're going to start with 2586.
All right, so there's lots of numbers at play here, Sipha, and they're explaining how many counts are being withdrawn. But did you hear any explanation as to what counts are being withdrawn, whether they're significant or minor, and why?
They've got to do with this charge that is related to money laundering. If we can put it like this, the state is alleging that some of the business people who got tenders under the Durban Solid Waste contracts, those tenders worth about 320 million, and the state alleges that some of those business people paid money, kickbacks to politicians, and after going through the bank statements and everything, they picked up that some of the money that was paid to some of the accused here, being politicians, had nothing to do with the payments that came from the Durban Solid Waste tender. So in other words, those business people had already capital on their bank accounts. They may have paid those politicians using their money that had got nothing to do with the Durban Solid Waste tender. So after going through all of that, then remember when Zandile Gumede and others were charged, the state did concede that investigations were underway. In fact, it was at the magistrates' courts, if I remember very correctly, when the prosecutor at the time considered that the arrest of Zandile Gumede was premature. That was the term they used in court, because they did not want her to interfere with witnesses, most of them who are said to be working at eThekwini municipality. So they considered in court when she was arrested that it was a premature arrest. They wanted to secure her presence, but also to ensure that she will not interfere with witnesses. They did tell the court back then, about 2 or 3 years ago, that investigations were underway. They were looking into bank accounts of all the accused persons. You are talking about 600 bank statements that they've obtained. So during the process of obtaining those 600 bank statements, they picked up that some of the money that initially they had thought was paid to the politicians after the awarding of the tenders actually may have been paid before the awarding of those tenders. So that's why they had to withdraw some of the counts, because they found that the money that is allegedly involved here had got nothing to do with the Durban Solid Waste tender that is in question in court. That's the reason why they had to withdraw some of those counts.
Okay, so that explains it, and thank you for that detailed explanation. It does, as you say, though, point to the state still very much going through things, because if they could have cleared this up even a week ago, we wouldn't have had this situation in court today. But you've explained very well to us, and thank you for that, Sipha, that this was always going to be a pre-trial set down for this week, and it was going to resume sometime next year. So I guess it's on again only March next year. Thank you so much for that update. That's our reporter in Durban, Siphamandla Goge.